So, we're going to move on to another film, which is definitely not incredibly generic, Scott.
Yes, Ava. Jessica Chastain here plays Ava Falconer, an ex-army highly trained assassin that's started to question her orders and her life decisions, much to her handler, John Malkovich's Duke's displeasure, but more importantly, the displeasure of the boss of this particular outfit, Colin Farrell's Simon. After a particularly botched operation, Simon decides that Ava's a liability that must be disposed of, and while Ava attempts to reconnect with her family and ex-fiancé back home, hence conflict arises. While Ava has an impressive cast, they are entirely wasted in a script that is composed almost completely of cliches, and for all of Chastain's talent, she is not an action star, and all of the fights she's involved with look exceedingly unconvincing. As such, it's very difficult to get into Ava, and so it comes as no surprise that I didn't get into it. I checked out of this film very early on, and so didn't appreciate even the moments of character building that this sort of cast should have been knocking out of the park. None of that grabbed me at all. Ava is very much checking the phone consistently, the movie, and while it's not abysmal, it's certainly unremarkable enough to recommend that you completely avoid it. Drew, I don't think you got any more joy out of this than I did.
Possibly even less. No, it's so generic. It's. Yep. I was trying to find a suitable adjective to stick in front of that, and I couldn't find one. So it's so generic. It's definitely one of those films you get to the end of and it's like, how did they get this cast?
Exactly. Yeah.
Especially with Jessica Chastain, John Malkovich, and Colin Farrell. They're way above a film like this.
I did wonder, I was trying to find earlier what the budget for this was and not been able to get it, but given that it does not look all that expensive a film to produce, it must surely be one of these cases where like 90% of the production budget has gone directly into these actors' paychecks.
I certainly wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I was certainly paying enough attention to see all the problems with it too, but first of all, like, who is it Jessica Chastain works for? Because she clearly used to be in the army. It kind of feels like they're suggesting it's the CIA, and at one point, while they start the film off talking about the organisation, at one point, and this could just be crappy writing, John Malkovich very clearly refers to it instead as the company, which is a generic term. Also, is how the CIA is referred to by people who work for the CIA. And like, is it? And I assume not, because they do seem to be doing private stuff, but it's not really clear. So like. And that matters in as much as while there are certainly big ethical things, but if you think you're doing something for the good of your country rather than just a criminal organisation, it changes morality quite a lot.
Yes, I don't believe it is the CIA.
I don't think so.
It appears to be primarily some clumsily worded private company that's doing this, and it's difficult to say for sure because basically all of that backstory comes in the form of like backgrounds to the opening credits where basically it's trying to tell all that story, stuff that you might actually want to do with the actors you've hired or the script you've written, but no, it's left to background graphics in the credit sequence. So that's the sort of level of film we're playing with here, so
mocked
putting a lot of thought into it
headlines and stuff rather than actually having anybody tell you anything. Which does change how sympathetic you would feel to the character. Right, again, you find it quite clear she's just been paid directly by money, so you think, even if she works for the CIA, it's as a contractor rather than, thinking somehow you're doing something for your country. But there are a few characters, I think, beyond, like serial killers or something, but there are a few types of character less sympathetic and less agreeable than a hitman.
Yeah.
Basically, if you're not Martin Blank, go home.
Yes.
Sympathetic hitmen begin and end with Martin Blank. So when you're supposed to get the idea that Ava is somehow tortured when her wrangling with this seems to go as far as asking the person they killed if they know why she's killing them and then killing them anyway. Like, this character has no morality. She's just as bad as all the people that are trying to kill her, so I don't care. And I shouldn't care. And the rest of it's just so generic. And what is going on with Colin Farrell's haircut and facial hair?
Yes. His moustache in particular, yeah.
It's truly awful. And I spent far more time wondering about that than anything else because, well, something had to entertain me during this film. It's absolute generic garbage. And it's one of those things you think, is this some sort of tax dodge?
Yes.
Had they perhaps, these actors, because they normally get quite highly paid, have they not been in anything for a year and they don't get their medical benefits or something unless they've got some sort of credit thing within a year or something like that? It feels like that sort of film.
Yeah.
That it's slickly enough produced that it doesn't look like absolute garbage. You know, that it looks like a legitimate film. But everything else is just nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah, it is bad. All the action's pretty bad. None of it's particularly convincing. The characters are roundly unsympathetic. None of them are remotely likable. And even when it gets to the point where it's trying to humanise them, but by that point, I just stopped paying attention to it, to be honest with you. By no means a great film. No, not the worst thing you'll ever see in your life, but it's just so bad. As you say, I just don't understand how something this insipid gets this level of cast. I would. It's the sort of thing I expect from Netflix action properties. So that's the level we're playing at these days. Yeah, just not good.
That's about right. Yeah, this is definitely one to avoid. Again, I think I probably only watched this because, well, it's a new film and I know they'll be drying up soon. But it's like, Jessica Chastain, I like her. And Colin Farrell, great. John Malkovich, he can be a great deal of fun. But no, it just spoils anything it's got in its favour. A waste of everybody's time. So thanks for that, Mr. Tate Taylor and Mr. Matthew Martin and everybody involved with it.
Yes.